Even more starter Pokemon will be returning to Gen 9 with Part 2 of the DLC, releasing soon. But which of these will be the best in competitive singles? Let's take a look, folks. In Part 1 of the DLC, some of the most noteworthy returning Pokemon were the Gen 4 starters, all of which received significant buffs. Empoleon actually was ranked in OU for quite some time thanks to the new options Flip, Turn, and Roost, which granted significantly more defensive longevity and also the utility of pivoting, which are fantastic new tools. The new ability Competitive was also a welcome addition. Torterra was also significantly buffed, receiving the new option Shell Smash, turning it into a pretty potent offensive threat, and with the new item Loaded Dice to take advantage of, Torterra's options Bullet, Seed, and Rock Blast suddenly became a lot more scary. And even Infernape received some minor buffs with the addition of new moveset options Aura Sphere and Knockoff. Even more familiar faces will be returning in Part 2 of the DLC, and even though we don't know exactly how they might be buffed or reworked, some of these starter Pokemon have powerful enough tools already to probably find a place for themselves in competitive singles, and I'd like to talk about that. Incineroar is famously the GOAT of competitive doubles. It has pretty much everything you want in a doubles utility Pokemon. Intimidate is an incredibly high value ability in doubles, lowering both opponents' attack by one stage. Fake Out is one of the best tools in doubles as well, a disruptive CC effect that can make space for your opponents to do whatever they want. These two traits are powerful enough on their own in doubles, but the typing is also fantastic. Fire Dark provides valuable immunities to both burn and also prankster effects because of dark typing. Fairy types are always prominent in any competitive metagame, so a dark type that's neutral to fairy is actually very nice as well. Also a great offensive type combination, you have Knockoff Stab, Flare Blade Stab, and even U-Turn to pivot back out, come back in with Intimidate, Fake Out stuff again, Parting Shot for the same thing, Snarl as another utility option that hits both, Roar is even good. This guy just has everything for doubles, but I think he might actually be alright in the singles metagame too this time around. In the past, the low speed and fire typing, which grants an unfortunate rock weakness, have been some downsides for Incineroar in the world of singles, but I think what makes Incineroar interesting in Gen 9 is the fact that it actually operates really nicely as a check to both King Gambit and Goldengo. Not only can you intimidate King Gambit, lowering their attack, you resist both Steel thanks to your fire typing and Dark thanks to your own dark typing. You can also directly threaten King Gambit with Fire Stab, and Incineroar did learn Will-O-Wisp in Gen 8. Some status moves have been cut in Gen 9, we're not 100% sure if Incineroar will keep this option, but it's pretty likely a lot of fire types kept this option. So if Incineroar still has Will-O-Wisp, that's a really great way to hit King Gambit, and also just generally a good click in that situation that hits a lot of stuff. And while Goldengo can learn Focus Blast, which threatens you, resisting both of Goldengo's stab types is really nice, and also directly threatening it with both of your own stab types. I think some sort of Heavy Duty Boots pivot or Assault Vest pivot could maybe be okay in OU this time around. Incineroar is a lot nicer defensively into common threats, and it can also leverage those defensive switches into pretty high value utility options. U-Turn to pivot out, Will-O-Wisp to spread status, Knockoff to remove an item on something important. I mean, these are just really great risk-free options that a lot of Pokemon would kill for. We'll see how the metagame shakes out, folks, but I think Incineroar might have a little bit of an easier time fitting into the OU format this time around. I'll be honest, folks, I had Blastoise here because I thought a Shell Smash Water-type sweeper with decent coverage could be okay, but now that I'm looking at this fella's stats, why did they give this only 85 base special attack? That's criminal. What's nice about Blastoise is that you don't need much speed investment to outrun Dragapult after a Shell Smash. Something like this is enough, and you do have really nice coverage. I think the biggest competitor for Blastoise is probably just Greninja. Greninja is faster and more immediately threatening, has pretty much all the same coverage, it even has a priority option, and it also gains its boost through a proactive effect after KOing a Pokemon rather than Blastoise, who has to sit there and set up Shell Smash. I apologize to Blastoise, but I don't think you're going to have much success in Gen 9. You got an uphill battle. Blaziken is an interesting one, folks. When this guy got access to Speed Boost back in Gen 5, it turned from a average to bad mixed attacker, outclassed mostly by Infernape, to a Uber's level threat that could sweep teams with absolute ease. It remained that way for multiple generations. In Gen 6 and 7, Blaziken is also an Ubers, but in Gen 8, Blaziken is UUBL, significant drop-off. Blaziken's Mega Form was no longer available in Gen 8 onwards, and also Z-moves weren't available for Blaziken. Z-moves are what really helps Blaziken nuke through its possible checks, Pokemon like Tapu Fini, Toxapex, Landorus Therian. But in Gen 9, Blaziken can once again abuse a generational mechanic for its own gain, Terastallization. We have seen 2 Terra-flying Acrobatics Pokemon be banned to Ubers, Roaring Moon and Sneasler. Blaziken had access to Acrobatics in Gen 8, so assuming it still has that option, this is going to be a pretty powerful set, folks. This is such a good combo because it grants you an immunity to ground, which you were previously weak to, allows you that crucial turn to set up Swords Dance, and gives you an additional speed boost. Unlike Roaring Moon and Sneasler, Blaziken doesn't really have a mechanic that benefits from consuming an item like Booster Energy or Unburden, but honestly I think you could actually just run a Grassy Seed and Rillaboom, and this is a pretty cool combo. The extra defense and the reduction of damage from grassy terrain on Earthquake are 2 other ways that you could find opportunities to set up Swords Dance and consume your item for Acrobatics. The powerful neutral damage of Acrobatics and your other great stab options will be a lot of offensive firepower to break through and sweep teams. You don't necessarily need Acrobatics either, this is just one idea. You could also go the classic Swords Dance Protect set. I think an issue with this in the Gen 9 metagame though will be that 4 move slot syndrome is a big thing. Just fighting stab is walled by Dragapult and Toxapex and things like that. Priority moves will also be able to finish you off a little bit more easily, especially if you're being chipped down by your own life orb. Whereas with the Grassy Seed defense, you might have a bit more sturdiness to priority. I think the neutral damage from Terra Flying Acrobatics could really improve your potency as a sweeper and your consistency. Maybe I'm totally wrong here and Blaziken won't be very good, we'll have to see. And finally folks, we've got Serperior. Ever since Gen 6, Serperior has been able to use the hidden ability Contrary, which is one of the most significant buffs a starter Pokemon has ever received. This ability is amazing. It reverses stat stage changes, so Leaf Storm, instead of lowering your special attack by 2, raises your special attack by 2. So this is a massive base power grass type attack that also gives you a free nasty plot after you use it. Pretty ridiculous. An issue with this Pokemon has always been its lack of good coverage. It usually had to use hidden power in previous generations, and in Gen 9 obviously that's no longer an option, but it now can Terra. Hidden Power Fire was pretty nice on this as coverage, but it was a measly 60 power move without stab on it. Now you can get an 80 power move with the stab boost. Terra Blast Fire is probably the most obvious choice because it's not only nice defensively, allowing you to resist ice moves, it also complements grass very nicely, hitting the steel and enemy grass types that can resist Leaf Storm. I think the fact that Great Tusk is so prominent will also help Serperior out a lot. This thing just outruns it, threatens to not only KO it, but also get a free nasty plot on whatever comes in as well. And it's pretty fast compared to a lot of the metagame, even by today's standards. One issue with this Fire Grass substitute attacking set will be Dragapult though. Dragapult resists both grass and fire, outruns Serperior, and also has Infiltrator which goes through the substitute. So this set will kind of suck versus Dragapult. Serperior can at least use Glare against them, which even though it's a normal type move can hit ghost types for some reason. But yeah, spending the turn using substitute probably won't feel super worth it in a metagame where Dragapult is everywhere and it will threaten to totally ruin you. Serperior does get Dragon Pulse as coverage to hit Dragapult, which is quite nice. If you do want to run the substitute set, I think you could actually go with Terra Fairy Serperior just for the Dragon immunity and the one-hit KO on Dragapult. The coverage isn't as good with Terra Blast Fairy, but I think with Serperior you can sometimes just be totally ignorant and jam Leaf Storm into everything because your special attack gets so out of control that you can just blow through resistances. I also think Terra Dark could be interesting because it not only allows you to resist Dragapult's Ghost Stab, it also allows you to resist Sucker Punch from King Gambit, and Dark is a really amazing neutral type. What's nice about this, you can not only hit Dragapult, Goldengo, you can also hit Skeledirge, who might actually be one of the greatest counters to the Grass Fire Serperior set, resisting both and also ignoring your substitutes with Torch Song and ignoring all of your special attack boosts because of Unaware. But with a Dark type attack boosted by Terra, you actually have a way to threaten them. Maybe you force them to Terastallize Fairy, which allows Leaf Storm to actually do good damage. Dark is also a good neutral attacking type against Heatran, who might be another good check because of its ×4 resistance to grass and immunity to fire. So yeah folks, I think that these 3 Pokemon have potential in Gen 9 OU. Incineroar I'm less certain about. I think it will be better at least in this metagame, a little bit of a better fit. Blaziken and Serperior though, I think have a really good shot at being very prevalent forces in the metagame. But what do you think folks? Do you agree with my opinions here? What are some returning Pokemon you're looking forward to? And what would you like me to talk about next? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching.
KO by one hit! It's scattered spike!
The money got different, cause of what I'm spending.